Hi guys, it's Michael from N-hance School, and in today's video I will show you how to correctly bake maps from high poly 3D model to low poly in Marmoset Toolbag. We'll use these bake maps later on for texturing our model. You can download the model on our Discord channel and follow along with this tutorial. Before baking the maps, you'll need to prepare your model for the baking process. I'll be doing the bake preparation in Blender. First of all, you need to prepare the model before baking. You'll need to assign the naming conventions. This is essential because Marmoset uses the match by names function. This means the texture maps will bake by matching high poly and low poly surfaces based on their names. So all low poly parts must have a low suffix at the end, _low. In the exact same way, all high poly parts must have a high suffix. You'll also need to assign materials to the high poly for baking the ID map. You can do this in ZBrush by assigning different poly groups to elements, or in Blender by assigning different materials to mesh elements. Like for example, how I've assigned it here, just like this for instance. After that, you can export your model to the bake folder and then import it into Marmoset. To bake the texture maps, we need to create a new bake project. It's right here, new bake project. Click it, and a new bake project appears in your hierarchy column. Now we can load our model into it. In the quick loader section, we simply click on load to bring in our model from our files. From here, at this point, we load the low first, then the high. As you can see, after loading, our model was sorted into the appropriate sections based on its naming. Elements with the low suffix went to the low section, and those with high went to the high section. Otherwise, your model simply wouldn't load into the project and Marmoset wouldn't see it. For example, if you want to hide your low poly model, you can simply click on Hide Low in the quick loader section. To make it visible again, click on Show Low. In the same way, you can do this with the high poly to adjust its display in the viewport. Now let's set the path where our baked texture maps will be saved. We'll set the file type to Targa image. And we'll give it a name, for example, something like Sort Bake Map or any other name you prefer. After we've set the save path for our baked maps, let's check the boxes for the maps we'll be baking. By default, we have Normal, which is already checked. Normal Object, also known as World Space Normal. Check that. Curvature, Ambient Occlusion, and Material ID. We'll also need the position map for baking, so go to Configure Maps and check Position and Thickness. Check that box too. Once we've selected the maps that we want to use for baking, now please go to the Bake section and click Start. To see the result of the map baking, you can click on Preview Material. To be honest, I don't really like the default HDRI map, so let's go to Sky, Library. I usually, and actually quite often, work with the Alibike's HDRI map for lighting purposes in my workflow. Using the Shift and right-click combination, we can adjust the rotation of our HDRI map. To view each map individually for any artifacts, you can simply click on the small sphere icon that is located right next to each of the baked maps, like this, and carefully check our maps for any artifacts. Let's go through the maps in order, starting with the normal map. A normal map is a map that stores information about surface irregularities from the high poly. Roughly speaking, it's a map baked from high poly carrying info on how light should hit the model and what shadow our object, meaning our low poly, should cast as a result. The object normal map, also known as World Space Normal, works on the same principle as the normal map, but it allows calculating how light works relative to the global coordinates of the entire scene, while a normal map calculates all irregularities relative to the local coordinates of each normal. The World Space Normal map calculates light relative to the global coordinates of the scene. Without this map, procedural materials designed to work with global illumination won't function. The next map is the position map. This map stores the coordinates of every point on the model in space within the RGB channel. The most common use for this map in a workflow is working with layers, specifically gradient layers, when we want to, say, apply a certain gradient to our model. The next map is the curvature map. It stores information about the model's surface height variations in a black and white channel. A typical task using this map is filling in colors for all irregularities, projecting dirt into crevices, for example, into these crevices where it's baked onto itself. Up next, we have the thickness map, which shows the thickness of the material. When we take the object's thickness into account, what we're really doing is considering how deep or shallow different parts of the object are, Roughly speaking, it's essentially a kind of map that visually shows the distance to the opposite surface at every point, and it helps us determine exactly which area or region on our model we're looking at or working with. This is a very important and crucial map, particularly when setting up and working with SSS in our materials, as well as especially when assigning wear to the most high wear areas on our object. The next map is the ambient occlusion map. This is a map of the ambient lighting. Roughly speaking, it shows how shadows are scattered on our object. And the final map is the material ID map, for which we created materials on the high poly. We need this map to divide the model into different sections, to simplify the assignment of layers during the texturing process. Also, let's go over an important setting, which is the cage setting. To do this, I go to the low poly section, click right here, and in the settings menu, you will see the cage section. There, you will see the mesh displayed of your low poly covering the high poly. Roughly speaking, this parameter is responsible for the projection distance of the baked surface. In some cases, you might notice the black dots are appearing on the baked surface. These are artifacts that are especially clear on maps, like, for example, position. And this is an artifact that you'll need to fix, for example, by adjusting the cage setting. For clarity, let me decrease the cage and rebake the maps. I'll rebake only one map. To do this, I'll uncheck all of our baked maps except for position. And I'll click Start. There. As you can see, our entire model is covered in these black artifacts. And this will be fixed by increasing the cage. Let's check all the boxes again and rebake our maps. After setting up the whole scene, we can basically increase the resolution, say, to 4K. Increase the samples to the maximum, which is 32. All other parameters are completely individual depending on the pipeline and the specifics of the projects you're working on. For the ambient occlusion settings, I'll set the ray count parameter to 512 for better map quality. I'll leave everything else unchanged. I'll click Start. Let's turn on the material preview. So that would be it for the whole baking process. If you want to learn full 3D pipeline and create high quality models for modern games, you can check our full courses in description. In the next video, I will show how to bake maps in Substance and Blender as well. Thank you guys for watching.